back to the Chillz. Don't ask me what episode it is because apparently I get it wrong every time.
68.
69? That's good.
Almost.
Nice.
I guess the next one's going to have a different theme, huh?
Yeah.
At 69, we'll bring some pie. And hopefully there's people. Anyway,
Georgie for
my
banana cream
parents
pie.
We'll call that one banana cream.
Anyways, okay, we're off the rails already. We got your co-host, Andy Ruffett here.
Hello, everyone.
We got Karun.
Hello.
We got Leena.
Yeah.
And Leena.
Leena.
And Mashaal.
My name is Mashaal.
All right, we got some topics for you guys.
Grab your beverage and listen along.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
We don't have any beers right now. I'm drinking water.
Yeah, root beer.
We never
Does that
have.
count?
I am drinking the water
Yeah,
of
the Hennessy
life.
bottle over there.
Oh, damn. I just went to it. She's like, no, we've got alcohol. I
We've
see
got
it.
alcohol.
That is true.
That's for another night when
We have alcohol that
when
we're
I don't
not
bring my
drinking.
car. You guys are welcome. But I brought my car.
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
Yeah.
What's your point, bro?
I want to enjoy
Point is that
my
the
own
blood
alcohol.
the legal level of blood alcohol is 0.005.
I can't serve you any alcohol.
not.
You
I
seem
don't
like
know.
you're rowdy and you've been drinking
if
before you
you-
got here. I'm smart certified.
If you
I drank this morning. Yeah. Anyways, we got some good topics for you.
Sporting?
Yeah, I was up partying till 5 a.m.
Oh, okay, that way.
Yeah, and he called me twice.
Let's
We don't
let's
need to
just
get
stick to the podcast here.
Yeah, true. I was going to say you have a problem with podcasts.
But we got some good topics. We're going to talk about some AI, some food stuff, some world debates, things happening all over the world, good and bad. And we'll take it away with AI. So what are your thoughts and takes and shenanigans on, do you think it's good? Do you think
No.
it's bad? Do you think it's a combination of both? Is it like the car?
I think we don't know what it's going to be
Yeah.
yet. Because we're at a very early stage of AI as it is today. Because if you really think about it, AI has been around for a century.
Like your
At least a
iPhone
century
has been AI since.
Not only the iPhone,
since
if you
10
go
10
all the
years.
way, if
Yeah.
you go all the way back even to like early machinery
Yeah.
in factories, they had a very, very early form of AI.
Right.
But I
In
mean,
what
obviously,
sense?
so when we say AI now, obviously we're talking about
Artificial
in the last-
intelligence.
in the
AI
last
is
10
artificial
to 20
intelligence. Yeah.
years. Yeah.
But
And I
technology.
think
You're talking
the
about technology in
technology-
general.
Yeah.
Technology in general has been there for
Yeah.
a very long time, but in the form that we're seeing it now,
Yeah.
I think in the last 10 years, we've really seen it shoot up.
Yeah.
And then in the last 5 years, maybe, it's
Yeah.
it's exponentially changed.
In the last 2 years, it's been fucking nuts.
And it
Yeah.
keeps
Yeah.
going that way. If you think about like even human like technological evolution, that's always not only technological actually. You can even talk about biological evolution. That's how technology works.
Yeah.
Like if you think about the space between the first people who made fires and the wheel, you had thousands of years.
Oh yeah.
And then when you go from the wheel to like the well, you go just hundreds of years. And then when you go from the well, the concept of like storing your water and things like that to like entire towns and villages, you have only decades. And then it just keeps snowballing, right? And even us, we're all millennials here, right?
Except for me.
But-
Okay.
Gen Z. Oh my
Millennial
god, I am
and Gen
Gen
Z,
Z too,
right?
guys.
What
Okay.
year are you?
Okay, so millennials and Gen
97.
Zs here.
Oh yeah.
You're like at the start
I know.
of Gen Z.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm
But, like,
actually-
do you think... I'm so sorry. Just, like, get off of your topic. Do you think that's because we developed more robust systems as a society and community?
Yeah.
Because back then you're talking about how there was a lot of gap between the fire and the wheel, but it's like, but we were only starting off
Yeah.
learning to exist
To
as
become
civilization.
a civilization.
And when
yes.
you have a civilization, you co-pool,
Yeah.
Yes.
bring
Yeah.
it together.
Yeah,
and
like
resources.
agriculture, for example,
Yeah.
changed humanity forever. Right? Until then, we were hunter-gatherers. We didn't live in societies. We didn't have large groups of people. The largest groups of people as hunter-gatherers were really just families. Right? If you really think about it, they were as packs, as humans, we were just families that lived together. And then agriculture, we started seeing cultivation and cultivated land. And then that even brought along, like you
And, like,
exactly
also,
what
like,
you're saying.
Another,
Earlier religions also.
And
were,
then
like,
religion
very-
came along
were, like,
because
coexisted to agriculture as
yes,
well. Like that's
and
what
not just
happened with,
agriculture.
like, a
I
lot
think
of
religion was
Mesopotamia.
just a way for control. That's it, and it still is that, right?
I'd say it's not
Muslim,
just
I have
control.
Not just control.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should say also as a way to sort of like for obviously there's also morals involved, and that came along. So when I say control, I don't mean power.
But
I
a lot
mean,
of
just-
deities were like
controlling our
correlated to
innate-
agriculture, to land, to fertility. So that's what
I
I meant when
agree,
I was
yeah.
talking about like religion, like
Mhm.
those ecosystems
Mhm.
that value certain things like resources and then power and then certain types of
Yes.
things. That's
what I'm
not
talking about.
different
As well. The
religions,
power
right?
dynamic had to be because otherwise we would have become animals, right? And that's where religion really helped because it gave us like a communal way to understand each other. It gave us a way to understand why we're here. It gave us a way to be good people, which is
Yeah.
I'd say the most important thing about religion, right? And then of course later on it became other things as well, but that's with any
God and
form
all
of
that.
control,
But then,
of course.
Is
But, yeah.
it actually making us a good people? I mean,
Yes,
Yeah, that's-
absolutely. It is.
Really?
Yes, if you go to a
Yeah.
genuinely communal place,
Mhm.
religious or otherwise, you will see good. You will see goodness in
Like
people.
that is communal places.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
talking
religion
about-
is, right? Religion
Not
is
necessarily-
people coming together to share stories, to share common values,
But is
right?
it
Common morals. Yes, that's how it started. What you're
community?
yeah.
What I feel is like, well, it could be different for different people, but then it could be. It might not necessarily be like it has not to be a community. Like it could be a more individualistic thing as well, right?
It is,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, it can. And that may also be one of the pitfalls of religion, let's just say, not just religion. This is your individualism you're talking about is now that could be an issue anywhere. Because if someone said how they interpret something could be in a bad way, right? And that's what happens with religion, that's what happens with science, that's what happens with ethics, that's what happens with a lot of things.
But
It's like book and telephone, but over the
Yeah.
decades and thousands of years.
Each religion a necessity. Like if you want to be good, you could be good. Like you don't need someone to tell you that. You know.
Oh, right.
That
You'd be
Yeah.
is-
surprised.
raises a
Now,
question.
I like that you brought that up.
Yeah.
We sitting over here, I think we might have spoken about this in the last episode as well. Now, no. What I'm about to say
Okay.
is we sitting over here, we are all like, again, for lack of a better term, very, very educated people.
Mhm.
So we have a privilege
Yeah.
to be talking this way and to know the difference.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Right.
we're the minority. On the global scale, we are a minority.
Oh, that's
So
yeah.
why
I
can't
see
we
what you're
When you
saying.
think
why
about-
can't we make the education more accessible?
Absolutely.
instead of,
But
right?
that's what religion did.
Because isn't
That's-
that what we have to do, like to make people aware instead of spoon feeding
Absolutely.
them?
But that's
For
what
sure.
the back in when the printing press came out, and then the churches, they didn't like the books because people were
Mhm.
getting more educated. And they go,
Exactly.
oh, they're learning about witches, they're learning
Yeah.
about this, they're learning about food, they're learning about how to make things, and go, oh, this is against our morals. They're learning about science, they're learning about faith. Oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
So you see now people are opening their minds and getting
And we are
and-
there now.
and- yeah.
That was the beginning of that sort of, let's just, for lack of a better term, rebellion.
yes.
Because information started becoming more accessible, and now we're at a point where we have information everywhere. Like our generation of people, so Gen Zs and millennials all over the world, are not clouded by religion's like strict rules
Yeah.
anymore. We are
If we
straining the goodness out of what religion actually stands for or stood for back then. Right? Maybe our parents and our grandparents weren't able to do that for different reasons.
Because my grandparents, they were nice, amazing people, but they were very uneducated.
Orthodox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they were very uneducated. They came from a village in Greece, and they knew how to do two things, and that was just farm and how to like just fix basic things because none of them went
That's
to school.
not. I don't.
No,
know
I'm
if
just
talking
saying
about
it's
it that way, but
I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm just saying is they didn't have much education because back
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it wasn't available. It wasn't a resource.
yeah, I think
The
I
only
meant
thing they could do was
more-
just survive and
Yeah.
just the way they could. I'm saying is if they had access to education and resources, they could, maybe found a different job that could have done something else, made more money, or they, to get a better life even better faster, right? Like somebody who's more knowledge and they go, like for example, we have access to the internet and technology, right? I could go make a business today on my phone in 10 minutes, right? And I could start selling products, and I can do another business, and I can do another thing. My friends, we can do a podcast, and then we can get ourselves. You know what I'm saying? The point is, we just have access to so many more realms than we did back in the day.
Resources.
Yes,
Right.
sorry,
And
resources.
realms.
Yeah, but the thing is, back then they didn't have the access to things like that because it was like a village. It was a different time in the 40s and 30s.
I do want to interject
Yeah, please.
with a couple of ideas. For example, the fact that religion is inherently good. We shouldn't add a moral value to religion. It's a set of ideas because, we came to this planet and we have questions.
Mhm.
And while we formed different schools of beliefs, depending on, well, our circumstances, where we were born. And these things totally have the potential to be morally deplorable.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
And in terms of education and religion, the most religious areas tend to be the most uneducated.
Exactly.
And I say this about Iran
Ooh, I
because
like that.
my country was completely dominated by Shia Islam.
Yeah.
And we had a specific word which referred to the people who were illiterate but had the Quran memorized.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I meant to say.
Can I touch on that?
It can be.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say when we have the privilege to sort of like sift through those things, but most people don't, and that's where religion is a pitfall.
I would say that
like
religion
has
sorry to interrupt again, but I would say that religion is more kind of an institution,
Yeah.
and it's not
It has
necessarily
become
that
one,
we
yeah.
have to, and it's not a necessity of like we have to have this institution, because we can have a lot of institutions, but the problem with education, as Leena said, is that religion, as Leena said, is that sometimes it can pull us away from truth.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah,
Right?
but I want to touch on what you were saying was this. My grandmother, I love her to death,
Yeah.
but the thing is, she was so into the Greek Orthodox Church to the point where at times, whatever you said or did was like, oh, you were against the church. You know what it was this, it was this. And then she was so into it that she would make up her own rules that would be like, they're like helping the church.
logical,
Like it was this. Like as an example, when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
This is a true story. You've heard this 10 times. When I was a kid, okay, my grandmother believed in like fasting and like and all this thing and everything had to be towards God and towards the church. And I was like 10 or 12 years old. I'm like, yeah, which is grandmother in Greek. I said, yeah. I came to her house. My parents used to drop me off there on the weekends, babysit me. I'm like, yeah, can I have a sandwich? She goes, yeah, get the bread out of the fridge and you can make yourself a peanut butter and jelly. I'm like, okay. Get the bread out of the fridge, whatever. Put it in the toaster. And then I get the jam out. My grandmother comes running, Yorgo, which in Greek, George, what are you doing? I go, I got in so much trouble. I go, what's happened? I put the toast in the toaster. She goes, you don't know put the toast like that in the toaster. I go, what do you mean? She goes, you put it upside down? This is bad.
Yeah.
I go,
Wow.
what the fuck?
It's all
I go,
about a
I got
methodology.
punished because the toast was upside down. I go,
Yeah.
and I go, why? What's wrong? She goes, you have to put the curved side up so Jesus can bless it while it's cooking. I go home and I go, Mom, yeah, it's fucked. And she goes, yeah, I know that. She's just too much into the religion, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't fix
That-
it.
Yeah, I remember
is-
being at a friend's house, and there was a rule where I think if you were eating, we eat with our hands in India, and also if you're holding your plate, before you washed your hands, you weren't allowed to touch anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was considered like
Dirty
There are a lot
or
of
anything.
crazy rules.
not just
Yeah,
dirty,
there's-
but
Yeah.
like, and by touch I don't mean with your dirty hands, but not touch anything at all.
Yeah.
With your elbows, with any part of your body.
There's a
You
lot.
had to go wash yourself.
Levitate around
Levitate,
because you're
essentially. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Where's
my-
that logic? Yeah.
My younger sister got whipped or she got spanked when she was a kid for something she couldn't control. She was left-handed.
Oh,
So
yeah.
every time she would eat, she got punished.
See, that's
And
what
I was
we're
like,
coming
because
upon,
the
yeah.
church says the devil's inside of you if you eat with your left hand.
Since
Yeah.
my grandma
I was
used
like,
to
this
say
is
that
fucking
about
whack, bro.
my grandma used to say that about lying down after 6 p.m.
So,
Lying
It's like,
down.
don't lie down on the couch after 6
Yeah.
p.m.
There's-
Otherwise the monsters will come.
There's actually something interesting about the left-handed people.
It's left-handed people.
Yeah, like for example,
Sorry, sis.
when it comes to linguistics, if you look at it, everything that's associated with moral righteousness is associated with the righteousness.
Oh, right. I was
You're
just-
right.
Yeah.
This person is on left feet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Even in
okay.
language.
Yeah. Even it's so ingrained in
Yeah.
like English and also like Germanic languages,
Yeah.
just because of the whole hold the church at, where we just associate left with moral.
Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah, bad
where's your dad? He left.
No shit. Still waiting. I'm still waiting for the milk.
all fine.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So you just need to have a relationship with God. But the thing about the religion, actually, what it says is that you're just creating a methodology to do that.
Yes.
But instead of giving like a methodology, instead what it does is like create all these senseless rules.
Yes, absolutely.
And then
That's the thing. That's what I meant by the control. I think when it stopped being about the faith and it stopped being about like what Leena was saying before about a way to deal with existence. Because we as humans, we have so many things going on in our brains and we have all these questions. Mm-hmm. All religion did was it grounded those questions in more like tangible ways. Mm-hmm. That's it. And that's how it started, really. They were just stories to help you deal with yourself, to help with dealing with decisions that you had to make about how to deal with other people. Yeah. And that's where it should have stopped. And the moment it became a fear practice, that's when I think maybe, like, and that's again the control that I was talking, the power.
And things get passed on from generation to generation.
As well.
Yeah,
and then you're like, why did we do that? Because that's what the king did in 1555. Right. And I was like, why? Why did you? Because you just had a lisp. Well, we don't have that now. Why are we doing it now? You know what I mean? And it's like these things that get passed on that are so useless today. You know, you just do it.
That's just followed doesn't mean that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, but guys, do you believe that Jesus Christ walked the earth?
you see me here, don't you, buddy?
There is evidence that a man.
It's irrelevant. That's what I feel. Sorry if I'm offending someone's beliefs.
What'd you say?
No,
What'd you say?
It's irrelevant to ponder over, like, think about all these questions. Like, we have a lot of things to do in our life, you know.
I think we should treat it the same way we treat mythology. It's a story.
Yeah, exactly.
You're supposed to take morals away from it.
Yes, exactly.
If you want to.
Glean morals, glean ideals, and glean.
I agree with
just
you.
that.
Yeah.
There is evidence.
Should
There is
not be a
evidence
form
that a
of
man named Jesus existed. That is all we know.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe that Jesus Christ walked the earth. I think he was an extraordinary person and a very nice person, and that's all there is.
If you
to it.
guys watch Jesus Christ Superstar, it's a great rendition of of Christ, and you get to like watch him lose his mind. It's pretty. It's good though. Great music.
Yeah, and
Nice.
what I have noticed is that as we get more educated or as we become more privileged, it says like it's really cool. Like, you know, if we have something to follow, like a tradition, it's really really cool because it doesn't affect our lives. You know, because we have everything sorted out, and it's like, okay, you know what? I'm a religious person because as like Kim Kardashian or even say, oh, I'm a Christian. Like it becomes like so. It's so easy for her to say that,
Just
or
to
it,
say it.
just or even let's say even me, I'm like privileged in a lot of ways. So it might be like just easy because I am not forced to cover my body and go out. So if I want, I can just keep my religion in my room and then step out. But that's not the case when it comes to underprivileged people, right?
I agree.
So when it so for them, because the thing is that in my family, like I'm coming from a very orthodox family, so religion comes first and then comes our life. Honestly saying, with regards to everything, whatever you're doing in your life, you're getting married to a person, what religion are they from, or how much are they into their religion? So these are the questions that come first.
That was my grandparents. Everything was always religion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are they Greek?
Yeah.
You can't do this. You can't do that.
Exactly.
They're gonna get baptized. This is gonna be this.
What kind of profession do you want to go to? Oh, does our religion accept it? Is it something that is okay in our culture? So that's the very first question. It's not like something that comes after your life, you know. At least you don't even have that kind of choice.
And I mean, like, even on the other side, my family, on the other hand, it is a very utility-based thing.
Yeah.
Like, it is very... My dad, the way he thinks about religion is really just like... It's a refresher. It's like refresh every year. You go do your pilgrimages.
Which is a cool way to.
Yeah, but then again, it's also like, do you really need to go and climb that mountain and go and like pray to
add
this?
another perspective to this. So like there's also the flip side of it too, right? Because a lot of people, and it can be any religion, it's not one specifically, they feel depressed, but then their parents are not religious, their families are not religious, their community is not religious, but then they gravitate towards religion too, because they're like, this makes me feel better as well.
They're just trying to find some
like
purpose. So
one thing that I found is that there's a delineation between what the religion and the scriptures say and then what people practice. Because the issue that most people have in control that I found is most issues that people have in religion is the enforcement of it, and the control of it. And that doesn't come from the scripture, that comes from people misusing it. And here's something I found which is like a crossover between religion and other like philosophies. People who try really fucking hard to like don't get me wrong, there are activists, but there are people who try really hard to push their activism are the ones with the biggest flaws. Like, good example, guys that try really fucking hard to be feminist. Like, they're the ones I hear the stories about the fucking most. They're the ones stalking girls down the streets. They're the ones who can't take no during like a date. Those are the ones with the biggest issues. And religion-wise, people who judge other people, oh, this girl's like that guy's like this. Those are the ones who are the most fucking fucked up. Like
I saw this one guy. He's like, he transitions to a woman, and he goes, and he's talking on Instagram, and he goes, how come all the men are all women now? How come they're all so feminine? What happened to the manly man? And I'm like,
oh.
I go, you're the fucking guy who just turned into a woman, and now you're asking where all the men are? I'm fucking confused here.
On the note of what Mashaal said, I believe you have to find religion.
Yeah, you
can't religion shouldn't be taught to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
It should be faith-based.
It should be completely faith-based.
Yes.
And it's maybe one of the reasons I will never turn to Islam. It's because I at least know what Shia Islam stands for, and I know it's not me.
Yeah.
Maybe in an
Can we
alternate
ask what that is?
dimension,
For those that don't know?
Shia Islam is like a sect of Islam. So essentially, when the Prophet, I forgot, peace be upon him, salawatu alayhi, he essentially was like, okay, somebody else is going to come after me after I pass. Okay. So either that will be Ali, which is what Shia Muslims believe in, or it will be somebody who was very close to the Prophet, which I totally forgot what his name was, but that...
Umar? Umar?
I think it's Umar, and it just separates into that Shia and Sunni, and then other sects under that.
So from what, because it's something that I had asked my my uncle once, because when I was like 18, because I like, to be frank with you, like, we're not, like, for both sects, Sunni, Shias, and whatever, we're not supposed to create denominations, but the thing is, but, like, we do, and the thing was, I was Sunni, so I was dating someone who was Shia, so I remember asking my uncle, I'm like, what's the difference, because I really don't know what it is. And he told me at the beginning it was just political. It was just like, who's going to succeed after Muhammad passed away. But then after that, it started to like become like a whole political movement. Like, because, you know.
I agree.
And the other thing is, like, that's the other thing. Like, when people say they don't practice Islam, I'm not saying this challenging. I'm saying, like,
of course, no worries.
The first thing I say is, like, but again, like, how much, even Muslims who are very practicing, most of them did it because their parents told them to.
Yeah.
And the thing
like
is,
inherited.
You were born into it.
Yeah,
right?
you're born
That's like me. My grandmother forced me to go to church every Sunday.
And that's, if you ask most people now, like, what religion do you follow? We always have an answer like, we were born into a religion, and then now we have a separate way of looking at things, right? So
no,
which is cool. At least if you are able to reach into that conclusion, it is cool. But I don't think
so. It seems like
people would take an effort to do that.
They would not even effort. They may not have the means to do it.
Exactly.
So the point I was trying to make was because I'm someone who actually kind of like, my parents were not that religious. And by the way, just so you guys have context, my mom used to be Sikh before she converted to Islam to marry my dad.
Okay.
So like I have like this perspective where like from my dad's family, like, oh my god, alcohol, no way. And then like I go hang out with my mom's family, like, you know, Punjabis drink a lot. Like, no, but like I always had that open-mindedness. For me, I actually like for a long time blindly accepted Islam. And I kind of held onto the rope of it because I was going through hard times in my youth. But then, like, there was a point in time where I wouldn't say I was agnostic, but I was just like, yo, listen, I need more answers than just what I've been taught. And then over time, I found my way back to it. That's why my perspective is always different. So when people tell me, like, and not just Islam, but any religion, when people say, oh, I hate, like, you aren't saying this, but I hate religion. Religion's for control. I'm like, it's a separation. That's what people do. And then it's the scriptures. Because the scriptures allow you at any point in time to read it and understand it. And the thing is, in Sunni Islam, the Quran is like what we follow. And the first paragraph in the Quran was like, it tells you you don't have to follow this if you don't want to. And it kind of challenges.
That's another verse though. La ikraha fid din.
Sorry.
In the Quran, that's the verse that you're talking about.
The very first verses, though.
The first verses are قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدْ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. That's Tawheed. That's Tawheed, right? That's another verse.
That's
the one that you're
the
talking
book,
about? No, that's the beginning.
I had no idea where it is.
No,
you have to recite that during prayer.
Okay, what is it?
But the one that you're talking about is La ikraha fid din. There's no compulsion in religion.
Okay.
Which essentially means that you are not obligated to act on the things said in this book. You are not obligated to follow this religion.
Okay, so what I'm talking about,
I think we're arriving at the same point here.
The first page
but then
on
if
was
you
where
don't,
like...
you'll go to hell.
No,
wait.
It doesn't really matter where
so
this is
fucked.
honestly.
No, actually, no, I have to correct that because that's actually kind of a little bit manipulative.
It's a cult, man.
Not episode. The first chapter.
Today on Quran Crit.
Like it says, like you know, like he says something along the lines of, "No, this is the word of God. And if you don't believe, produce something better. And the point isn't that he's trying to just make fun of whoever's reading it. He's just saying you don't have to follow this if you don't want to.
The first, at least this is like
So a lot of people
what
miss
I've
that
been.
part.
Yeah, this is what I've been taught.
They willingly ignore it. That's
what I mean.
In the very first verses of the Quran, you essentially, and these verses are what you have to recite while you're praying. So you say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. It's essentially you're reading the commandments of the Quran.
Right.
You say, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Tell, or like say it, that God is the only one. Tell that He is not born. He's not born and does not give birth. That's a weird way to translate it, but he has no companion.
I think what we're arriving at here is there only one version of the Quran?
Technically, yeah, and that's the thing about the
Bible
Quran.
itself has
the Quran is one.
But
different publications still.
No, it's one. It's one, and there's a lot of meticulous detail put into it.
Even there is debates around that, like regarding the translation, because some people say that it is okay, and some people say that it's not fair because Quran has.
Because it is an interpretation, but it's a retelling.
By the way, that specific verse is not like compulsory. You can choose to say that. People only choose to do that. Yeah, because like for us, like at least for Sunnis, like that's optional because we have to say the Surah Al-Fatiha first. That one you have to say all the time, the opener. That's like the first chapter of the Quran. Qul huwallahu ahad is like the shortest one because like here's the way the Quran works, right? When you pray, sorry, we're making this like the whole Sharia podcast right now. But
I think we are arriving at a sort of conclusion.
She wants to do her food segment.
Okay, long story short, like when Muslims pray, like Sunni Muslims pray, we have to say the compulsory one, which is the opener. That's like the first chapter of the Quran. Yeah. And then we can choose anything from the Quran that's like that we want to. People usually go for Qul huwallahu ahad because that's the shortest one. Nobody wants to spend like the whole.
This was the shortest one.
But I'm so confused because I can't remember.
I just mean it's one of the shortest ones. Everything at the back of the Quran is like shorter.
It's very long. You can't memorize it. And your prayer's going to take 30 minutes.
I think back to what we were getting at. Is like I think now it's like people who were forced into like myself and others here is like they just went out and do their own thing. They have their own beliefs. Where those that were not forced to being religious or go to church, they are now going for it because they have nothing.
They're finding a means to like just deal with their life. Right? And it doesn't have to be trouble. It doesn't have to be happiness. It doesn't have to be any one thing.
You don't want to hurt.
It isn't one thing. Life is not just one thing. It's a mixture of all of these emotions, all of these different places, feeds, whatever you want to call them. And I think religion has its place, obviously. But yes, I think the conclusion that we were getting at, Mashaal, especially what you were talking about, like with activists and things like that, every grouping of people will always have a certain number of people that interpret something for their own gain.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
And this is like in anything, not just religion, in business, in like philosophy, in science.
It happens with a lot of religion because people won't challenge you as much with religion.
That's the other thing, right? Exactly, because it's a much more arcane form of like sort of this grouping, as we say.
And it's the religion is used to mask the
control.
Exactly. Like we found out later on after my grandmother passed away that all her paychecks were going to the church.
There you go.
And we were like, why? How come she can't afford to groceries? Maybe we get to give her like $100 here because her whole rent was going.
Things that God will bless her if she does that.
And then it goes to the church, but the church was just conning her every month. And then when my grandmother passed away, the church said to my dad, it was like, oh, so do we get to keep the house now? My dad was like, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck is it?
Yeah,
exactly, and then because that church was under the assumption that they were gonna get the house because they were giving all this money, but yet it wasn't theirs, right? Obviously. And I was like, what a fucking shit.
I mean, this should be enough of you.
That is the reason why I use the term institution, because all the institution, the purpose of the institution is to sustain the institutions. There's no purpose.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Exactly.
But it became a business itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I have a question for you, George. Like, even if it's not religion, do you believe in the concept of like you have to pay it forward to get good? Because I've seen you do this. When we go to Subways, even if it's just like $1 or something, you drop into like the homeless person's like Like,
oh yeah, I have my own. I have my own morals and beliefs.
Yeah, no, but what I mean
And-
is, like, even if it's not religion, do you believe in the universal force that, like,
Yeah,
you
I
put good out
believe
into the
something
universe, it
will come
rewards
back
you
good
too?
for me, right?
I think
There is
I
some
rewards you
element.
too. I don't know about that. Do you believe that?
I
that's
feel like
thing.
things reward me. I mean, listen,
That's faith.
couple, you know, there's times where I've pulled over side rope, I've helped people with their cars and shit, and this and that. And just a couple of weeks back, when there was a month or two, there was a mad snowstorm, and my car went off into the ditch, and I was like, dude, I'm fucking stuck here. My battery's gonna die. This guy rolls down his window and goes, hey, you want a hand?
Yeah.
I go, there's a blizzard in the snow. This guy gets out of his truck, he ties my car up, and he helps me out. I go, is it because I helped somebody else? I'll never know. But it doesn't hurt to help someone else in my time, because in that moment I'm fortunate. I have money or skills or time to help some other person out, so I'll do it, you know. And whether I'm not expecting you to give me anything in return.
Right.
If you want to give me something, that's fine. But I'm not expecting, you know.
Yeah. This is to say, I think, because like if everyone does something good, then eventually everyone will have something good done to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's a simple just like one.
I remember.
Yeah.
I have a friend named Hannah. I've known her for like 4 or 5 years now, and the first day I met her was on set at work, and I remember we wrapped at like 3 a.m. So the subway weren't even open, or it was cold and whatever. And I said to her, "Do you want to ride home?" She goes, "What do you want?" And I go, I'm offering you a ride home. She goes, "What do you want in return?" I go, "What?" She goes, "No one's ever just asked me for, like, offered me a ride home." And I go, "Is the bar that low? Like, what is happening?" I said, "I'm just offering you a ride home." She goes, "Oh, okay, thank you." And then ever since then, she was like, "Well, it's just like, there's good people out there."
Yeah.
And I never thought it was like, fuck, that's crazy.
Well,
But,
that is sometimes it's hard to believe, like, especially when you have a lot of bad experiences, like, immediately. It's
especially
like,
for women, too.
Yeah,
women.
I feel like that happened to me when I came to this country as well. It was like I was developing these trust issues, because at the end of the day, they need something, because there are a lot of these
contractual
business things that is happening. I'm pretty sure that
That's,
people might have
it's
approached
give and take kind of thing, right?
They're so nice to you. They they invite you to some events, this, that, and everything, and the next day they're like, "Oh, can we set up, and then I'll walk you through this presentation. We'll just, your life will change, this, that, and everything." And it's just a business trap that they're trying to. Yeah. So every time like this happens, so finally when you really meet a nice person, you're like,
you have to like, you're skeptical. Take it with a grain of salt. It's unfortunate that we've gotten there as a society, though. Yeah. I mean, I guess even in Canada, though, if we go back, like, we're all, not to get back into the immigration story, but if we go back even 30 years ago, before any of us were even born, Canada was a very, very nice place in general. Yeah. Politeness was kind of one of the main important things. Yeah. I mean, barring, obviously, all of the things that were hidden away politically, but just on a day-to-day basis, like, people were very nice to each other. People, so, I don't know. It's nice. It's nice to be nice.
Toronto
is
one of the coldest cities in Canada.
Now.
That's funny.
The weather yesterday was nice.
I don't know about back then, but now it's
there's a joke that I think really encapsulates the sentiment that I want to share. So, you guys may have heard this joke. It's pretty popular. So basically, there's a guy on a boat, and the engine dies or whatever. He's in the middle of the ocean. He's like, "What the fuck?" Well, not ocean, but he's like, "What the fuck? I can't get to land." So he starts praying to God, and then someone shows up, and they're like, "Yo, listen, I can take you back to land." And he's like, "Oh no, God's gonna save me." And then a second person shows up, and just for our viewers now, let's finish the joke. Second person shows up with a boat. It's like, "Hey, I can take you back to land." He's like, "No, I'm waiting for God to help me." And then the third person shows up, and then the same thing, I'm waiting for God to help me. And then eventually the guy dies. And he goes up to heaven, and he asks, God, he's like, "I prayed to you. Why did you, not save me?" He's like, "I sent you 3 boats."
You fucking idiot!
Exactly.
There's a similar story, not exactly the same, but very similar. It's a man who's a thief, and he what he does is, he waits for the fishermen to set their traps of fish. And then so after the fishermen were done setting the traps, an hour later, 20 minutes later, he goes out and steals all the fish from the traps. From the other fishermen. They set all the traps. So one of the fishermen catches him one day. He goes, "This guy's stealing my fish. Well, this is my fish for my family," whatever. But he doesn't fight him with anger. He fights him with kindness. But so he goes, "Hey, sir, I saw you stealing fish from my traps." He goes, seems like you're down on your luck and you're having a bad time. He goes, here's some fish. Puts it in his boat. And he goes, seems like you need more fish. Here's more fish. He goes, your family's probably really hungry. You need more fish. He goes, sir, no more fish. He goes, but I want your family to be safe. More fish. The boat capsizes. He sunk the boat. Couldn't handle that. It was a small boat.
Yeah.
Hey, that's very similar to Kung Fu Panda 3.
What?
Because the guy's like, I want to be the Dragon Warrior. And then Po, the panda, he's like, do you really want to be the Dragon Warrior? Here, take all of my power. And then it overwhelms him and he just like blows up into spirit energy. Yeah,
I do want to drop a very major question since we're like talking about religion, and this question ties a lot to that theme. What's the point? What's the meaning?
This is a big one.
It is meaning of life. You said that life is a collection of, just a set of experiences and emotions. But what's the point? Religious people believe that, well, I have to be pious, I have to be good, so that when the afterlife comes in, I will be in heaven, or instead of being reincarnated into
the promise
a rock,
of a better place, essentially.
I'll be reincarnated into a rich person, for example.
Right. Oh, that's only the religions that believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
Not every
or
religion
heaven.
believes in that.
Yeah, or like heaven
or just
or
a better place. Yeah,
it's something that comes afterward. So I don't know if any of you claim to be agnostic. I know I am. But what's the point?
Honestly saying, there's my counter question. Like, do we really have to
have a point? Yeah.
Like, do we need to worry about it? Like, it is what it is. Like,
life is what you make it.
Yes.
Yeah, it is what it is. We have been blessed with this life. Live the way you want. Just don't hurt anyone.
I stand by that because a lot of people who follow that philosophy, they're just like, oh, c'est la vie, but then they hurt everyone around them. They're like, oh, life's too short. Like, shut the fuck up. You fuck with somebody else.
Yeah, I think I'd say, like, even from a scientific perspective, like, I'm not an agnostic, but I am a universalist, and I believe in human rights. I think that's really my basis. Right. And I believe that religion has a place in human rights as well. Not maybe what it's become, but what it started off as Mashaal said. Yeah. But this is to say, scientifically speaking, we are an accident. I read an article on the
as humans.
As
that's true.
As the
Big Bang Theory, right?
Yeah, and starting off with the Big Bang and going to the observable universe. I was reading an article on the Atlantic about this, and it's called. That's the title. We are an accident, and everything had to happen so perfectly. And religion just gives a person a way to believe that, okay, all of these, they're not accidents, they're more like magical happenings or coincidence. In science, it's coincidence. In religion, it's destiny. Right? Yeah. So it's just different ways of dealing with these things. So the meaning of life really could be nothing, or it could be everything.
It is so
But at that point, it's everything and nothing all at the same time.
The chances of us being on this planet...
Yes.
Is
of
like
us being in this room as us six
but
people,
us being born right now is like 1 to 800 trillion
or anything.
We're not supposed to be here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
What's here and now and there and then or whatever you call it is the chance of somebody being born is like. I forgot how Neil deGrasse Tyson said it, but it's like it shouldn't happen. Like
it's an accident.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. Like simply put, I mean, it's also the 3-body problem. That's a plug for Netflix right there. Yeah. But that talks about the fact that if like the solar system is in itself also sort of like this anomaly, because generally the Newton's 3-body problem is that if there's 3 bodies acting against each other in gravity, eventually they will collide and destroy themselves. Yeah, that's what the 3-body problem is. Like, there is no predictable way for those 3 bodies to act with each other.
Gravity
upon each other.
But on that note, with gravity, gravity has enough to pull us down and enough to pull us out perfectly.
Yes,
if it was too much, we'd be fucking out there. Yeah. If it was too little,
we'd be squeezed down.
We would be fucking looping and squeezed in.
We'd be squeezed in.
So it's the perfect balance.
It is the perfect balance. And even in terms of the ecosystem, in terms of nature, it is a perfect balance. And obviously we're seeing that changing as well. On like we have officially exited what is called the Anthropocene, and we're entering something called the Holocene.
I know what you're talking about, like the human industrial revolution, right?
Yeah.
Like chopping down trees and stuff.
And and we have officially entered the new age now, the Holocene, as they say. The Anthropocene is where like humans were there, but we weren't really affecting the larger environment. Now we're very actively affecting
and we can see it hard.
Now, this isn't to say that the planet, and again, George Carlin talks about this, and a lot of people talk about this, we all talk about this, but this isn't to say the planet's going anywhere. We will be gone, possibly. So again, we are also a very, very tiny part of the galactic.
The planet will live on with or without us. Whether we're here or not, it will keep going.
In the cosmic time scale, we are barely anything. We are a fraction of nothing, right? And who knows, maybe with human endeavor and ingenuity, we might even make it further and beyond. And I think we should just be happy with where we are. And the meaning of life is that. The meaning of life is sustenance.
You know what's crazy? Is this. Us humans, we fight over land and all this stuff, right? In the grand scheme of things, we're just a fucking little dot
in
the planet. And we're fighting for land.
Yeah.
We're fighting each other. We're fighting everything. But for what? For little pieces of nothing.
But that's the thing. I keep thinking about that, but a lot of people...
We could be just living and helping each other, solving problems, but we're fighting each other.
A lot of people like that, though. That power.
They like the conflict.
Enough
thing, right? We just have like 60, 70 years on this earth. That's
right.
all we
On
have.
average.
60, 70 years.
90,
maximum.
please.
Not maximum.
Oh, I'm going to die in 30 years.
Average. Maximum.
I don't know.
The average age went up, just so you know.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's a different thing. Yeah.
I think
my uncle passed away at 69. What a G.
That's terrible.
I didn't say 60. Oh my god.
I think the meaning of life is not about life. It's about your life. You need to take care of yourself first. You need to focus on just you. And once you've taken care of yourself, whatever that means, then you can take care of others. And that you just live your life the way you want to live your life without hurting anyone, obviously. And
that's the thing. That obviously.
But you can't focus on like the bigger problems because you shouldn't be focusing on that until you've like focused on who you are.
But that's the thing. For what purpose? Why should I take care of myself?
Why should I take care of myself, or why should a person be good?
Because
why should a person take care of themselves? Because if they don't take care of themselves, they're dead.
Yeah,
and
that's
what?
one thing.
And what of it?
And what
of it?
That's like true absurdism.
What if?
Exactly.
I think what she's trying to say, devil's advocate, is what if your happiness is just blowing up a building with you in it? That's
right.
What
I was talking about.
What if that's your happiness?
Talking about like, what if I kill myself?
Like, fuck yeah, I'm taking everybody out.
It's
called my art.
We're all talking at the same time.
Back to what you were saying, she's like, you can't hurt someone.
If you want to do that, you have to face the consequence. It's not that you can do that, but what I'm saying is that
there's no consequence when you're dead.
A lot of people don't face consequences.
Yeah.
A lot, you like literally, one person stabs another person, fucking kills them, gets thrown into prison for like a week, and then gets executed.
But then again, how is that taking care of yourself? Right?
This is like another discussion that she started.
I agree that
there's a guy that
take care of yourself.
There's a guy that I
have to take care of yourself. I just think that's the meaning of life.
Yeah, okay.
To take care of yourself. To take care of your life.
That's the only thing.
I wasn't finished. I said to take care of your life, and then once you've taken care of your life, then you can take care of others.
Yeah, but
the bigger picture, if you want to get into like religion and war.
If someone's calling is caregiving, then yes, they can take care of others. But not everyone has to take care of each other.
Sorry to bring
I think
this
they
up,
should, yes.
But I was just coming through, I don't know if you have been to Eden Center today, and there's this guy, every time this guy, some people just try to pitch for Christianity over there.
He's on the
corner.
Oh my goodness,
that
happened?
Get a pamphlet. Jesus will help you.
Today it was so funny because there was another person who came up and, man, I want to actually talk about something, and then he's Muslim and he's like, I am Muslim. I want to talk about how many why is it how many versions of Bible is out there? They were having this argument.
This is what my dad asks him every time. He goes, my dad's not really religious anymore. But he goes, if there's a God, this is what he asks them. He goes, if there's a God, why is there evil?
And isn't there an Epicurus quote about this where he says if God is willing, then why is there evil?
Yeah.
If he is I totally forgot. If God is willing but is not able to prevent evil, then why do we call him God? Yeah. Is he willing and able? Why does evil exist?
Yeah.
Is he crazy?
One funny thing I did was
if there is God, I'm just so confused. He is out there, and then is he crazy to do all this, like create all these humans and then watch them fighting, and like maybe
he's fucking playing this AI game. And he's like, this is fucking hilarious. Look at these idiots fighting over some land shit. Delete
over me. Like,
those guys.
Isn't there a South Park episode about this?
Yeah, probably.
He's playing a video game and we're the characters.
Yeah,
I remember. I think a couple of like church people, whatever, like came to my house, like knocked on my door, and they were like, "Do you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ?" And then I was like, "Do you believe in the Lord Krishna?" And they were like, "Okay, thank you very much."
Do you believe in the one and only Elon Musk?
I just remember the guy. He's like on the microphone. He's just like,
God,
all of you that people think that hell is a rock concert are wrong. I'm like, oh god.
Honestly, I'll face it. Like, if that is what it takes me for my, like, you don't even have any answers to my logical questions, and if you're saying that I'll be, crucified in the hell, well, I'll take it. I'm serious. Like,
well, I just think like those things you can't control, like whether there's a heaven, whether there's a hell, whether there's anything.
It's also
there's nothing you can do about it.
It's a convenient proof.
I'm not gonna tiptoe through life safely just to arrive safely at death's door. You know what I mean?
And also, if there's
I'm gonna live my life.
If there is a God, like if he is like the ultimate form of love, then he should understand the whole thing, right? And I'm not gonna hurt anyone. Like, I'm not gonna, betray or
Which is what Christianity also like sort of goes for, which is repentance, right? They believe in repentance. They believe that no matter what you have done, you will always get a second chance as long as you repent.
I do have a point to make.
Again, and that's a very basic thing. So even if you, through your circumstances, if you did do something wrong, remorse is key.
Personally, Christianity makes more sense than Islam. Like, I should. Sorry, very personal opinion.
Yeah, but I wanted to make a point about, like, heaven and hell. Imagine you dedicate your life to a religion. You're pious. Hell, you're chaste. You don't have sex the entirety of your life, and you just devote it to God.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you arrive in this like limbo state, and then God is like, "Ooh, like, I know you were a good person and all, but you believed in the wrong one.
Yeah.
Sorry. Maybe
Sorry,
next time.
Maybe next time.
No 72 virgins for you. You get to come back as a snake."
It's like super.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, like, I know you were a pious Christian, but like Islam was the right one. I'm so sorry. Like, maybe next.
Everything else is right, but
That's true. Yeah, you never know, man. You don't know.
Yeah, there's a funny stand-up bit about the 72 virgins. It's like, what happens to them after you're done? Like, where do they
Oh, yeah, because they're not virgins anymore.
They have to create another 72 virgins.
They're like, sorry, women, you've sinned.
Yeah.
Anyways, you've got another four more minutes. So
4 more minutes.
Two more minutes, I said.
We have. I think we have.
Why don't we
So let's talk about food in 3 minutes.
Why don't we?
I don't know if that's
everyone name your favorite food.
George, why don't we go for an hour? Like,
No, I don't
want. You don't want to do an hour?
Comment down your favorite food.
Yes, everyone quickly, your favorite
Guys,
food.
comment down your favorite god.
Oh, yeah, comment
in the comment section. Tag them.
Yeah, who's your favorite god? Yes.
Who's your favorite god? My favorite god is Elon
Drop
Musk.
down like the.
My god has more HP than your god.
Oh, well, mine has more abilities. Fuck you.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, my god has psychic ability.
That's cool.
My god can read mine.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
But anyways, I just want to say this interesting story because I have
go for it.
one of my friend, her dad is, her entire family is atheist, but because India, obviously, as you know, that like we are really religiously really fond, and then everything is like religious. So every time you are in, like, they want to know about your religion and everything, and then she has this, she is defaulted into this. Mentality that, okay, she is just part of some sin because her family doesn't believe into any religion. And then she donates money every time to some religious institute. So behind her dad's back. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So, and he's
just
like,
as rebellion.
Exactly. And then I ask her, are you crazy? Like, why do you donate? Like, these are like, these people are not even real. Like, they just take this money away and they don't even do any good deeds out of it. And then she's like, well, at least let me get some blessings out of this, because.
Oh yeah, you're definitely blessing their wallets. Yeah.
It's just so interesting how people have different versions.
Look at
because for me personally, like since I'm coming from the complete opposite background, I'm like total rebellious, right? When it comes to religions, but then she is like, what are you doing?
Okay. But you're having a stroke.
I think that's the most important thing. That's what we can. That's what we can walk away with. Like Andy spoke of like caring for other people. I think what you might have also meant to say is be kind to others, of course, and also tolerant. Yes, be tolerant of others, no matter what they do. Obviously, as long as they're not hurting someone. And
but I also don't think you should be doing these things expecting to be rewarded.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because you want to be a good person.
Yeah. And even if you don't want to be a good person, you should be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should be able. You should deal with the consequences. That's all. Yeah. Like if you're not a good person, then
I think a lot of bad people don't get consequences.
That's true.
That is very true.
Yeah,
that is very true.
But I'm not sure because from my understanding, or maybe it may vary from person to person. But for me, like if I lie. Or if I do something bad, then this thing haunts me.
The guilt,
right?
Yeah.
The guilt feeling. So I feel like there is some consequences. Maybe it is not tangible. Maybe.
There's a nice line from Oppenheimer about that, where he's like, I feel like a really selfish and arrogant person.
Yeah.
And then his friend tells him back, a selfish and arrogant person won't say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they won't know that they're being selfish and arrogant.
That's true.
Right? So,
He's just really self-aware, selfish, and arrogant.
Really. Yeah, if you're self-aware, then you're good.
I remember in kindergarten, I stole some Legos, and then I took it home, put it in my pocket, and then I couldn't sleep, bro. I was thinking about it all night. I was like, someone's gonna.
I'm not on the same boat.
And then the next day I put it right back, bro. I was like, fuck. I put it right back.
People embezzle funds and sleep with like a
I know that.
And like babies, yes.
But that is true though, that not everybody thinks the same and not everybody is built the same. Because if you have watched Jeffrey Dahmer, have you watched what is that? Like, he was built that way. Like, his brain functions that way. He doesn't have any guilt. He doesn't have any feelings. Like, he doesn't even know why he's doing that. So, I think sometimes, and those are manufacturing defects, honestly. Like, literally, those are defects. So, I think
he has antisocial personality disorder.
I just wanted to try cookies.
And he was also, like,
genetics is also
I don't know about genetics, but
I think towards the last
his environment
but then towards the very last season episodes, like his dad is literally crying and saying that honestly I did have these weird thoughts, but then he never executed it, but he just had those weird dreams coming up. So I believe that genetics still has
something.
So do you think that life is nurture or nature?
I think it's nurture for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure, because the holistic psychologist talks about it. She says that everyone for a long time has actually thought that it's your genetics and you're doomed to do things because of your genetics, but the power of your thoughts, rebalancing your nervous system and actually like taking active changes in your life you can change
for us especially because like we have that ability, like biologically speaking. We have the brain. Our brain is the most powerful
animals. Like we can
as a researcher, I say it's both. It's not as black and white as like you're bound to be a certain way because of your genetics, or you're bound to be a certain way because you think a specific way. Your genetics does play a role. For example, for me, I am more likely to be depressed or bipolar or have these disorders. Is it necessarily going to manifest? No. But that means I'm at a risk for it, right? So absolutely. In that case, genetics does influence your life. It's not just your thoughts. And, totally okay, a lot of psychologists have different schools of thought, whether you're a soul or whether you're flesh or whether you're both.
Mind.
But everything.
I agree with you. My dad always says the
But
same
it's just that there's also there's also been evidence proven that people a lot of schools of psychiatry, medicine, and the Western world generally, they underestimate the power of thoughts. Like, for example, there was a girl suffering from multiple sclerosis, and slowly she started making changes in her habits. Like, she started with one small habit a day. She was like, I'm just going to drink a glass of water a day because I'm doing this for me. And over time, she incorporated many different things, including singing. Like, she just kind of trusted that gut system in her. And over time, she overcame multiple sclerosis. The second thing is there was somebody, they did like a placebo test. You might notice because you do a lot of research. There's like, they actually gave somebody like sugar pills. and they made them think that it was a medication for them, but it made them better. And then somebody else, like, they were misdiagnosed with cancer, and like they gave them medication for cancer, and then the guy wound up dying from his thoughts because he believed he had cancer.
I saw that.
Yeah.
No, it is possible.
It is totally possible, but we haven't done much research to know about that.
That's true.
I do believe that definitely your genetics also play a role in the way that your thoughts work.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Right?
But I think what we meant by nurture over nature is, with those thoughts in consideration, the environment that you're in definitely affects on how you will act on those things.
Yeah.
Like she was saying with Dahmer's father, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had a loving family, he had loving parents, and even though he had these things, I mean, if we're still recording, that's fine, but I used to do something
Here we are.
like when I was younger, and then I knew that like what I was doing was wrong, but I'd still do them. Right? Yeah. And I'm not going to get into the details. Right? Yeah, when I was like 12 years old and stuff. Yeah, Voldemort.
What were you doing, Karun?
That was Voldemort. Yes, that's all I'll get into it. But in general, though, like, you're a creative child. You do all sorts of stupid things. But, yeah. Anyway. Animal cruelty. Okay, animal cruelty for our members in the audience.
You're Dexter.
Oh my God, you did like... So you were religious this whole time, just
Lord Krishna.
Lord Krishna. Yes, I've killed snakes. Yeah, that's right.
That's daring.
I've watched.
Snakes?
No.
Oh.
I've watched my grandfather just kill animals.
No, I've never killed an animal.
He's cut them and he's like that's what we do in the village.
Some ants.
Oh yeah.
Well, then I'm going to be coming back as an ant for sure 10 times.
I wouldn't mind. Being an ant would be great. Yeah. Like, you would have a place in society, and then you could go
for
back.
How long?
Who would go back after your 9 to 5 at the factory?
If I come back as an ant, who's going to be my uncle?
Is it? Really? Yes.
That's terrible.
You deserve everything. Aunt, uncle, whatever you want.
If your uncle helps
you, girlfriend.
if your
aunt wife.
If your uncle helps you off an elephant, would you help your uncle jack off? Oh no, I said it wrong.
Oh. All right, that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, with just bad delivery.
All right, anybody want to have any last minute words before we?
We started with AI.
Well, we did that tangent so hard out of AI.
I think we solved our audience's problems on metaphysics, religion, spirituality, and ethics. So I think we're good.
Excellent. Nice. I like. Thank you.
Be you and take care of yourself.
Tune in to next week's episode because we're solving world problems.
Is
and please stop bothering people with your beliefs like that. It's ridiculous. Like, I want to.
Do not force your religion onto others.
So the moral of the story is, if you don't agree with somebody else's opinions, then you were right and they were wrong.
Yes, exactly. Listen, your word is gospel.
Yeah.
Be delusional.
We're all delusional. I'm out.